Yeah, so we do have some amazing leads that are going to help teach this. And so guys, we're back to the baseball field. And so I know y'all are talking Raiders, Niners, all that stuff, but you know, I was watching Moneyball, like Joe said the other day, so I could get geared up to teach on on this baseball process. So guys, we're talking about today the client to contract, how to get an offer accepted. Especially in this market, it can be very challenging. I know for me, example, there was one client, I put a minimum 50 offers in. We finally did get accepted, but it was a matter of not giving up. So guys, today we're talking about from client to contract. So the first thing is get your notes out, get your pen and papers out. The first thing is what you want to do in order to the hows on getting your offer accepted is keep excitement high and set great expectations. So excitement, right? You have to remind them why they started on this journey. Now, Joe, I'm sure you will never forget when we bought our first home and we had to camp out for 3 days in order to buy this home. Well, not we, but you.
Yeah, me.
Had the fun opportunity of camping out in front of the sales office, because if we left, we lost this home. But it was literally a matter of reminding, I had to keep reminding my husband, why did we start this journey? Why do we want to be homeowners? It's okay that you haven't showered in 2 days. It's fine. It'll be all worth it. Trust me. And so guys, that's something you have to do, is remind those that you're working with why they started this journey. And babe, was it worth it?
Absolutely.
And did we end up buying multiple homes after that because we took that first step and started on that journey and remembered that why?
Absolutely. And it was actually one of the first houses Rick ever sold.
Yep. So guys, remind your clients the why they started on this journey. Focus on the objective, not the object. So guys, it's not always about the home that you should be focused on, but remind your clients about the objective. What is it? For us, Joe and I, this was the first home that our family would ever own. Our parents never owned a home. And so the objective for us when we got married is we will be homeowners one day. And so it wasn't about the home, but it was the objective that we will be homeowners one day. Number 2, the with them, what's in it for me, right? You're going to continually have to remind your clients what's in it for them. What are the features? What are the benefits? Guys, if it wasn't for that first home, then we wouldn't have been able to put down over $100,000 on our second home. And so what's in it for them? And then number 3 is what's the opportunity here? Especially in this market, they have to get into this market. They cannot give up. They will get discouraged, and sometimes you may get discouraged, but you're going to have to press in it. What's the opportunity here, guys? We are seeing this. Home values are continuing to increase. I just met with some clients last week. I helped them buy a home 7 years ago. They are literally doubling their money because I continue to remind them the benefit, the features, and what the opportunity was there. So I also have some of the leads teaching. Guys, these leads absolutely love serving people. They are a definition of servant leaders. And so they're always there answering phone calls. Doesn't matter if you're in their pod or not, that they will always be available to help. They truly have the heart just to help people. Julie, why don't you tell us a little bit about expectations?
Great. Thank you, Shelby. Really appreciate that. The excitement is so important. Expectations. It is so important to set the right expectations from the get-go. It's just like building the house. It's your foundation. And one of the most important things in expectations is to make sure that you clarify everything to your buyers. Sometimes they're first-time home buyers, and you'll have to go over it again and again, but you say, hey, remember we talked about this at the beginning. And this way you will be able to remind them. Number 1 is let them know the average number of showings that you're going to be showing homes perhaps that day, say 4 to 6 homes. In a market like this, we'll be showing even more homes than that sometimes. And it's so important because sometimes people say, I have 12 houses I want to see this morning. Well, we know that after 4 to 6, they can't usually decipher, they can't remember. So it's really good to set that expectation that, hey, look, 4 to 6 showings are great. This way you will be able to remember the homes that you see. Number 2, the average number of offers. In a regular market, it might be a little bit less. Currently, right now, we're seeing quite a few offers. And let them know, hey, our first offer might not be accepted, maybe our second or third, but we are going to keep working at this until we get you your home. So you set that expectation. So after the first offer, they don't go away and say, oh, I'm done. You want to make sure that you do set the right expectation for the number of offers that we might be writing. Number 3, average number of online views. This is really important because sometimes people will go and say, oh, I saw this house, it was on the market 2 weeks ago. Well, when I take a look at it, they've had 2,000 online views. So setting that expectation with your clients and letting them know that there are many, not only buyers, but agents, investors looking at online views as well. Average days on the market. Usually we were seeing before 30 to 45 days. We're not seeing that anymore. So setting that expectation when you have someone who gets in touch with you, say, and they are like, I saw this house 7 days ago. Well, you're pretty sure it's pending. You go and take a look and yep, it was only on the market 3 days. So setting that expectation. We're seeing a lot of agents right now outside of our team that are putting homes on the market on Thursday evening or Friday morning. They're having showings Saturday and Sunday, and they're looking at offers on Monday or Tuesday. So we're looking at maybe 5 to 6 days on the market. Another really important expectation to set is our average list price versus sale price. We'll have some people that will say, oh, I will only pay up to $600,000. I'm pre-approved. Here's a great house. It's $599,999. Setting that expectation is really important to let them know that the list price is not always going to be your sales price, and to set that expectation well. Show them the numbers of what you're seeing, comparables perhaps for that last month. The homes in that neighborhood they're interested in that have already sold, show them the list price versus what it's sold for. So setting the expectations are so important. Like I said at the beginning, with setting that foundation, especially for first-time home buyers and even people who have purchased homes before things have changed, say compared to 20, 30 years ago. So setting the expectations are just an amazing way to start off good and to be able to show your buyers everything that they want to see and be able to get them into a home. Danielle, I believe you're going to share with us next on offer strategies.
Okay, hey, had to unmute there. Thanks, Julie. Yeah, so offer strategy, again, is very important to set that expectation. Having a discussion before you even go out and show property. You want to let them know that, you know, the offer price, you definitely want to back it up and start at a lower range in order to be competitive, in order to gain a price point that's going to be attractive when a seller does look at your offer and compete with other other offers that are coming in that's going to be well over the asking price. So a strategy that we can use as well and let them know of one of the strategies is called incremental strategy. An incremental strategy is when you have a listing price, let's say it's at 500,000. Now, of course, you're going to go over this, but I'm going to use this as just a standard, easy formula for us to discuss. So say there's 5 offers that you know are coming in. You've spoken to the listing agent. The listing agent says, yep, we're going to have 5 come in. The best method to utilize is an incremental strategy, meaning you know you've got 5 offered. The minimum, they may go over $5,000 to $10,000 over that asking price just to start. So a good rule of thumb is if there's 5 offers, depending on your market, depending on the location, that'll definitely dictate how high that range may go. But just for sake, you may want to go $5,000 to $10,000 over. Meaning if a house is listed at 500,000, you just know your starting point should be either 525 or 550. Of course, keeping in mind your market. You go to Berkeley, it may be $100,000 increments. So you really need to know your market in order to utilize that strategy well. So that's number one. Number two is go over the customers, the client's financial bracket. What is it that they're bringing to the table, right? You need to kind of balance everything. Make sure, okay, you've got money for that appraisal gap, because we know that is the norm right now. That is our market. It's a hard discussion. People are like, why am I paying over what the house is worth? Well, it's just the market that we're in, and this is what we need to do in order to compete and to win the home. So you have that discussion of how much money do you have in order to bridge that appraisal gap, 15, 30, 60. I have a client right now in Tracy, and she has $40,000 that she's willing to come and bridge the gap because she understands the importance and understands the value is also continuing to go up. So although they're coming out of pocket initially, the values will start increasing and catch up. Another thing you want to make sure with the financial bracket that they have the money for their down payment, you have the balance for funds, meaning their closing cost and that appraisal gap, and just working out the best balance that's going to make their offer the strongest. So sometimes maybe they have to do 15% down as opposed to 20% down because we need that extra liquid fund in order to come in with that appraisal gap in order to win the house, and allow that appraisal to go up in order for the 5% that they need to refinance and release that PMI in order to get that 20%. So that's another discussion that you can also have with the client. Number three, super important, any market you're in, is presenting a full packet. I know that there's listing agents right now, we're having, to do the PEDs and everything, and they're kind of a pain, but it's what we do. We're all accustomed to doing it now. I know that there's listing agents like they can't even fill out a PED correctly. I'm not getting in contract with this person. It's been around too long. You just got to, put that PED in. So they're being mindful. We're kind of being interviewed before we even show that house, how we communicate, how we present that PED, how we're initially, communicating with that agent. That's, first communicating how many offers do you have? So you can implement that incremental strategy. So you know what you're looking at when you go back to your client and asking for that appraisal gap. So presenting a full packet is going to be consistent of your RPA or your contract. You're going to have your contract, your approval letter. You want to have proof of funds. That just goes that extra step that shows that you have the down payment, you have the liquid cash for that appraisal gap. It just shows the strength of an offer. And you also want to have your tax bill. It's always good to just say, hey, I've already seen the tax bill. Go ahead and print that out and include it. Even if the agent hasn't, you just want to over prepare and just be, look very, very solid. You also want to upload and have the buyer sign any disclosures that the listing agent has, in fact, put on the MLS for us. You don't want to skimp on any of those because, like I said, it really is like an interview process. They want to see that you can follow these simple tasks that they're putting out there and knowing that you can at least do the bare minimum of what they're requesting, because that's showing them that you can follow those, along the lines of the rules and perform well. Number 4 is going to be, never accept a multiple counteroffer. So this is interesting. So when we have the opportunity to get a multiple counteroffer, which is kind of far and in between right now, because a lot of times sellers are just choosing the highest and best, but there are times when they will go ahead and entertain the top 3 offers, and they'll send you a multiple counteroffer. That means each counter is going to be sent specifically to each buyer. Your counteroffer is not going to be the same as a mirrored copy to the other buyer. They're going to take the best term, the best price, and what it is they're looking for each buyer and present it separately and uniquely. So if you just accept that, then you're not standing out. You're just going, yeah, sure. But you have an opportunity at that particular point to counter the multiple counter offer. What that's going to do is going to allow you to either maybe increase the purchase price, tighten up timelines, tighten up closing, anything that you can do to just stand out. And even if it's just a little minute, you're actually, the agent is now going, oh, wow, I got a counter offer. It's kind of unique. So you're actually making yourself stand out, which is what we want to do. So yeah, make sure that you counter a multiple counter offer. And lastly, on number 5, the escalation clause. So the escalation clause, I know many of us are using that, many across the board are using the escalation clause. What that means is, losing my breath. What that means is whenever you submit an offer, you always have like a listing price. So you find that starting price, which go back to number 1 to determine where maybe you should start. So you find that starting point, and then you could do increments of bids, which means you're going to bid above the highest bidder. So there's terminology to use for that. Simply, it's put the buyer is offering the seller $1,000 or whatever that number may be above the highest bidder, not to exceed. Now, I learned you do want to put a not to exceed cap on that. Otherwise, your buyer could legally be responsible to pay for what offer comes in. So be mindful that you know what your buyer's cap is going to be. The escalation clause can be really interesting. Some people will go $1,000 over. I like to use some random number. Again, it's about coming in and making yourself stand out, a uniqueness. They're going to go 194.39. Where did this number come from? So where did this number come from? And it doesn't matter, because they're now looking at your offer as it's super unique and like having the discussion about it. So now they're really looking. So escalation clause is definitely what is widely utilized right now and very recommended. Just kind of, twist it up a little bit and put a little funky number, and I guarantee you it will stand out amongst the others. So that's what I have. Eileen is up next. She's going to go over different terms and everything to help us.
Hey guys, thanks Danielle. She's one of the best. So I'm actually going to go over some of the terms and how you can improve your terms when you're writing an offer. Don't think that's the slide that's up, but maybe my computer's slow.
We need one more. Lorenzo, can you go to the next slide? There we go.
There you go. See, Lorenzo's trying to throw me off. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that actually I use pretty much all of these from 1 all the way to, I think it's like 6 of them that I actually use when I'm writing an offer. And it's just my way of strategizing an offer in a better position if you don't have the money, right? So it's not always about the number that you submit, but also the terms. So starting with the free rent back, especially nowadays, I feel like there's a lot of sellers that are leaving the state and need more time to get out. So what they're asking for is for some time to stay in the home. So anytime that you see that there's some time that needs to be spent in the home after we close, I always offer a free rent back. And the way that I explain it to my buyers is usually just to let them know that normally you get that first month pretty much free of charge. It's not free, you're paying for it in your closing costs, but it's not a monthly rent that you're paying that first month. So it kind of makes it a little bit easier for them to understand that it's okay to give that free rent to the seller. In some cases, even with the rent back, I've done where the seller needs more than 30 days. Well, actually, it's actually 29 days, but more than that 29 days, and we can use the RLAS and extend it to the 59 days. Having your buyer give a free 59 days sometimes can be very difficult, because then they're paying 2 rents on the second month. So what I've done is I've done a free rent back for 29 days and then the additional time as an actual rent paid with a PITI. So it kind of like Danielle was saying, it still gives the seller the time, which is mostly what they're looking for, and kind of makes your offer stand out because you're willing to give them the time, you're willing to give them some free rent, but you're also helping out your buyer by having that extra, time, 29 days paid for. So the free rent back is really beneficial. It's like giving extra money, but not actually giving the money. The second one, shortening your contingencies and removing contingencies. I'm gonna combine both because I feel like in this market, do we even have contingencies? Um, Shortening definitely your contingencies is huge if you are not in a position to remove contingencies. A lot of the houses now are being sold as is, so I feel like an inspection contingency is like non-existent anymore. The nice thing is that our buyers don't have to pay for an inspection anymore. The sellers are primarily providing those inspections, which is nice. And the way that I present that to my buyer is just please read over these inspections, look over this disclosure, make sure you're aware of everything that's going on with the house, and then let's write the offer. And now let's see what kind of offer you want to present to them, knowing what that consists of as far as disclosures and inspections and things like that. Your contingencies are your inspection contingency, appraisal, and your loan contingency. With appraisal, Danielle talked a little bit about appraisal, and I'm not going to get too into it because she did mention it and kind of talked a little bit about it. So the appraisal escalation, that's pretty much just saying that you're willing to bridge an appraisal. So, as she said, most people now are coming over appraisal amount. It's not really coming in at appraisal. It's not even really a negotiation anymore. It's about who can go higher above appraisal at this point. And the way that Danielle explained it is true. I mean, with my buyers, there's sometimes they ask me the same thing. Why should I go over the value of the home? If it's only valued at this amount, why would I pay more than that? And I just explained to them, the moment that you've paid more than that, then guess what? That neighborhood is at that value now. And so then your house is building equity as the months go in this market. And for the most part, they are understanding that. They see how quickly the market is moving, and that makes sense. Removing a loan contingency is what is a little more, I feel like it could be more dangerous when you're risking your buyer's EMD, because that's the one thing I feel like I don't have a lot of control over. So making sure that you're in good contact with your lender and you guys are both on the same page, knowing that you have a very strong loan and that they have the ability to cover any appraisal, or they're not worried about inspections, the loan has no conditions, then that's when I would release a full contingency. But again, you want to make sure that you're in very good contact with your lender before you do that. Larger deposits, so your EMD, if you're competing, you want to come in with a 3% deposit. And I'm coming in over a 3% deposit. I don't think it makes any sense. I've talked to a lot of listing agents, and honestly, they take it as a joke when they see somebody come in with a $50,000 deposit. It just doesn't make sense. So I think a 3% EMD is a strong offer. And I pretty much had been coming in at a 3% with pretty much all my clients. I think the biggest thing with the deposit, with the EMD, is making sure that when you talk to your buyers, that they have that money in the bank. Because especially nowadays, a lot of people are taking out of their 401k or taking out of their stocks or whatever, and that's a process. So if that money isn't upfront, we all know that it has to be wired or put into title within 3 days. So you just want to be sure that if you're putting, a large deposit on your contract, you're not kind of in a position later on where when you get accepted, that money's not there and ready to be put into title. So I would say with that, you just confirm with number one, your lender, that there's a proof of funds. And number two, make sure that your buyer is aware that has to be put into title within 3 days after acceptance. Agreeing to pay for items and purchasing personal property outside of escrow. So again, kind of falls back into the people who are moving, sellers who are leaving the state. A lot of them don't want to pack up their whole house and take it across the state. So sometimes, you believe it or not, offering to kind of take something out of their hands and paying for it could help your deal. For the most part, on the personal property, I try to keep that out of escrow so that it's kind of like, hey, look, my buyer is willing to buy this, so we can have some negotiations done between the buyer and the seller later on. And I try to stay out of that. I don't like to have that put into my into my contract or my deal or my escrow. So, but I do mention it, and I make it very appealing to the agent and to their seller so that it could help our offer for sure. And I think that's about it. I think I spoke about all of them, but I mean, pretty much in this market, it's a competitive market. So I'm using every single one of these terms to strategize my offers in a way where they're just more appealing. And then I think Marcos is ready. He's got his mute off and everything. Look at him. Take
Try.
it away, Marcos.
Thanks, Eileen. Great information. Let's see. And we're talking about multiple offers, which of course we don't see that every day now. But the biggest thing that with multiple offers and situations that I do is I try to contact the listing agent ahead of time just to see what we can do for the seller, try to get some insight and build some rapport. I try to kind of joke with them sometimes a little bit, just to get a feel for if they're kind of like a relaxed agent or they're pretty straightforward, or maybe they're very like rigid. So I try to get a feel for them and try to adapt to their style a little bit. Tell my clients, what are they willing to lose for this property would be the first thing, right? So after I find out some information about what the seller is looking for, I relay that information. And, most clients, have a certain amount of money they can go up to. Some don't have a lot of funds for an appraisal gap. So we have to figure out the best way. And everything that we talked about already kind of ties into this, right? So can you, shorten contingencies? Can you do an appraisal gap? Can you do a rent back? Those things help decide how you put your offer together. Most listing agents will tell you, well, I have 3 confirmed offers coming in, or 8 confirmed or 10 confirmed. So you have an idea of you're going to be competing with at least 5, 6, or 10 offers. But getting to know the listing agent and what they and their seller is looking to get is important, and discuss those things with your clients as you position your offer. And of course, offer delivery strategies. Present in person, which I have not done. With COVID, obviously things are a little bit more strict and we don't have the opportunity to do those things. I submitted 2 offers today, for example, and what I started doing is when I submit the offer, I call the agent. I let them know what my offer is, that my client is open to a counter offer. They have the ability to come up higher, just build some more rapport with them. And they appreciate that. Actually, a couple of agents told me that not a lot of people call them to get a little bit of insight of what's going on. So building that relationship and rapport, and just talking about how your brokerage works and how we are committed to the process and to deliver on closing on this transaction goes a long way. One of my offers got accepted just by doing that. It wasn't our highest offer, so it helps and it works. So I would tell you to keep doing that and just be calm, be patient. And of course, your buyers, especially if you have them for a while, they'll be frustrated, they're anxious, they want to get an offer accepted, but you are their gauge, right? So if you're not feeling it, they're not feeling it. So if you're going to stay high level energy, patient, and show them that, there is light at the end of the tunnel, this is a process, you got to stick with it. Shelby mentioned it, right? It's not about the object, it's the objective. And some of them, this one client, 4 months into it and we finally got it. So, you just got to be the coach, the counselor, the cheerleader, all these things for your clients. Deliver to the agent, like I said, make sure your offer is complete. You talk to all different scenarios with your client and let the agent know that this is what we have, this is what we're willing to do. We are open. We want to stay in the conversation. We want to stay competitive. And they appreciate that, and they understand that, they sympathize, right? They know how it is out there that, they're getting 10, 15 offers, they have to say yes to one of them. Not everybody's going to go home with the good news, right? So they understand that. Email, nowadays it's a little bit different. They want offers to disclosures I owe. So you got to fill that form out. And then I do both. I do that, and I also email them. And then, like I said, I call them now right after I submit the offer, just to let them know that it's on the way. If they get to look at it, have any questions, they can reach out to me. But just, be like open and let them know that, you're here willing to, answer any questions they have. And if they can counter or accept our offer, that would be the best thing for your clients, right? That's the best phone calls you want to make to your client. Your offer got accepted. So that's all I have. I believe Megan is next. So thank you so much.
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Can hear you.
Thank you. If you hear kids in a minute, it's my carpool time, so I apologize. Do everything all of the leaders said, because this will get your offers accepted. Mine is probably a little shorter than everybody else's. We're going to be talking about managing appraisal risks. Once you're already in contract, once the offer has been accepted. I like to talk about this with my clients before we even start writing offers. And Julie and Danielle touched on it with setting those expectations, that it's highly likely that we're going to be either bridging an appraisal gap or waiving an appraisal contingency. And so right now, one of the things that we can do is make sure that we are the contact point for the appraisal. So whenever I get a new contract, a new transaction going, I like to make sure that my lender sends my contact information over for the appraiser to get in touch with me and not the listing agent. And then I like to meet them at the property and give them a really nice package. So I'm going to go in the MLS, pull the best comparables, pull the best properties off the MLS. And I'm also going to give them the most recent market stats, showing them the price appreciation in the area. I have noticed that sometimes we will get appraisers who are out of area, and they may not necessarily know the intricacies of, maybe the Sacramento market or somewhere in Antioch because they're coming from another county. And so I like to actually follow local appraisers if you can, and get their market stats. And then CAR has market stats that you can pull as well to provide to the appraiser. And I found that that's gone a really long way in supporting some of these offer prices, these contract prices that we're trying to get close transactions on. And that's it. Don't really have much else to add to that.
Awesome. Thanks, Megan. And thanks for doing it in carpool lane and everything. So guys, we have amazing leads on this team. The last thing that I can say is leverage the team. Have your in-house lender call the listing agent. And then number two, you can have your lead, your coach, even the broker, Rick, call that listing agent. I have heard that Rick has the magic touch, and Jesus's last two offers that got accepted was because Rick called. So I'm not sure what Rick's saying, but it's working. So guys, leverage the team. That's what we're here for. We're here to do life and business together. Again, I love Babe Ruth's quote on here: never let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. So stay in the game. Thanks, guys. Thanks, leads. You guys are the best.